I'm Jayanti, Assistant Professor of EC Department of Mahindra Engineering College. I'm here to welcome you everyone. And here we are gathered for the AICTE sponsored Atal Online Faculty Development
Principal, sir.
Program on Artificial Intelligence and Enabled Sensors and Network for 5G Wireless Communication. I welcome everyone, sir. And as usual, even though if we are in online, we like to have a little prayer. We'll start the session with a prayer.
Ponlaga,
May you
madam.
enjoy the God's miracle in everything you lay your hands on. Now the prayer.
Ponlaga, madam.
Sir? Sir, good morning, sir. HOD, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Okay, madam. May we start or we may wait for another 5 minutes?
Sir, we have start right now, sir. We'll start right now, sir.
Principal, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir.
Sir,
yes, sir,
may we start the program?
Yeah, please. I think they have already started. We can start, I think. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Any
Thank you.
other guests you are expecting, sir?
No, sir. Our chief guest joined, sir. We may start the program. Others will join later, sir.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, madam. Ponlaga, madam, we may start.
Okay, we'll start with the prayer song.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. N. Vishwanathan, sir, Head of the Department of EC Department of Mahindra Engineering College, for the welcome address.
Dr. Ashutosh Kar, Professor, Department of ECE, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Kanchipuram. Dr. R. Shamsan Ravindran, Executive Director, Mahindra Group of Educational Institutions. Dr. R.B. Mahendra Gowda, Principal, Mahindra Engineering College. Participants across India from various states, they are participating in this faculty development program, and faculty members of our own institution and all staff members. Very good morning to one and all virtually assembled in this meeting for this faculty development program. So this is the inaugural function for AICT Teaching and Learning Academy sponsored faculty development program on artificial intelligence enabled sensor and networks for 5G wireless communications. This is the faculty development program. It is going to be conducted for 5 days. So actually, this faculty development programs has 4 technological areas. First one is our communications, but particularly 5G wireless communications. Then sensors and networks. So everybody aware about sensors and networks. It is very much useful for electronics domain. Then artificial intelligence. Fourth one is Internet of Things. So actually 4 areas we are going to cover in this faculty development programs for 5 days. Actually, as all of our 5G wireless communication, it is to connect everyone everywhere, including machines, objects, devices, everything it will deliver higher data rate. It will handle higher data rate even up to 20 gigabits per second with ultra low latency. That means delay is very, very minimum when compared with our other 4G, 3G communications. It has more reliability than the previous versions of the networks, as well as it will handle massive network. It can handle massive network capacity. Similarly, sensors and networks will be used to connect people, objects, any devices across globe. AI is nothing but human-like behavior displayed by a machine or system. So actually, AI is nothing but computers are programmed to mimic human behavior by a machine or any object or system. So nowadays technological convergence is very common. Similarly, here also we are going to converge four technologies, that is our machines, systems, as well as human beings are connected by using small networks. Then machine will have some input output using the sensors. So sensors and networks can be used to connect machines as well as human beings in a campus. Then the data transfer from one campus to another campus or across globe can be transported by using our technology, 5G wireless technology. As I told already, 5G wireless technology can handle the data even up to 20 gigabits per second. So in this workshop, we are going to have the technological convergence of four areas. One is fifth generation wireless networks. Second one is sensors and networks. Third one is artificial intelligence. Fourth one is, if we combine these three technologies, that is 5G wireless network, sensors, 5G wireless communications, sensors, networks, as well as artificial intelligence. If we convert these three technologies into a single one, we can get beautiful applications. That application is called IoT. So Internet of Things. Nowadays, people would say Internet of Everything. So everything nowadays based on only Internet. So next 5 days, our participants will going to enjoy the sessions. Actually, we arranged resource persons across India, 14 resource persons, 14 different sections. I believe our resource persons will handle all these four areas and convergence of these four areas. So definitely these sessions would be so useful to our participants participating across the globe. I extend my warm welcome to our Professor Dr. Ashutosh Kar, Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Kanjipuram. He is the chief guest of this inaugural function. He is going to inaugurate this first session as resource person. Then I extend warm welcome to our Executive Director, Dr. R. Shamshan Ravindran, who is the instrumental in organizing programs like this. So I extend warm welcome to our Executive Director, Dr. R. Shamshan Ravindran. I extend a warm welcome to our Principal, Dr. R.V. Mahendra Gowda. He is right from applying to the AICT. He has been taking care of organizing this program very nicely. I welcome you, sir. I welcome all the participants across the globe who is going to participate in this faculty development program for another 5 days. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all the participants. I would extend my warm welcome to all the faculty members of our institution and other supporting staffs who is participating in this program. I extend warm welcome to one and all once again. Definitely, I believe these 5 days, 14 sessions would be very much useful to all the participants who is participating in this program. So everybody are going to know about the four different areas of technological developments, as well as how four areas are converged to get a beautiful applications. Everything our participants going to get experience on. Once again, I extend a warm welcome. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the welcome address. The welcome address was done by Dr. N. Vishwanathan, HOD of EC Department of Mahindra Engineering College. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I'm happy here to see Dr. R. Samson Ravindran, sir, our Executive Director, Mahindra Educational Institution, and I kindly invite him for the presidential address. Sir, Samson, sir.
Yeah. Good morning to everybody. I am very happy being here with you all on this day, on the inaugural session of All India Council for Technical Education, Atal online workshop FTP on AI-enabled sensor and 5G network. This is a nice morning. AICTE is supporting through its Atal platform, All India Council Teaching and Learning Academy, has created an opportunity to give such an FTP for 5 days, 2 days like that. It's a vital topic. It's a meaningful topic. I will tell you why it is meaningful. So it's my pleasure of extending my welcome and greetings to the chief guest here, Dr. Ashutosh, the professor in Electronics and Communication Engineering from IIT Manufacturing and Design of Kanjipuram. And also, this is my pleasure in inviting all the resource persons scheduled for the next 5 days here. All are well versed in the area of specialization. Also, it's my pleasure congratulating and recording my appreciation to the principal, Dr. Makendra Gowda, the controller of examination, also the head of the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Mahindra Engineering College, Dr. Vishwanathan, the coordinator, Dr. Punlata, and the participants, those who have joined more than 100 plus numbers throughout the country and throughout the globe, I can say, as Dr. Vishwanathan said. This topic is 5G is an emerging area. Everybody knows the fastness of 5G, the utilization of 5G, the superiority of 5G than the 4G networks in communication without further delay. However, these two words, this artificial intelligence and sensors, are known for quite long period. I'm recollecting my younger age, 30, 35 years back, I heard about this artificial intelligence through expert systems. That time, we know that what is meant by artificial intelligence, but the utilization is very less. Sensors also, maybe another 50 years or 60 years old word. But why we are taking this in the Atal now is because this artificial intelligence enabled sensors. That's why it is getting its own momentum now. The momentum comes to that topic, good old topics, because of this enableness. Big data, as all of the more resource persons are waiting to talk about the big data, Internet of Things, the development of big data, the ruling of big data, the superior big data, data source, data wealth, through its IoT systems, is using this artificial intelligence everywhere it is getting its momentum. This training and learning by AICTE, learning is in a joyful word always. It is not studying, it is not just sitting in the class or attending the laboratory. Learning is happening everywhere, not only in the classroom, not only in the laboratory. It is happening everywhere, every time, every point of your life. So learning is always enjoyable. This learning of artificial intelligence and its enabled sensor system, and also the other topics, though, which are going to serve here, is going to make joyful to everyone. This is a season of joyfulness. So it is going to be joyful. It is not just enjoyable, it is very much joyful. So I wish every participant to enjoy the session. Next 5 days means you can if you have a so-called what is that yard measuring yard, you can measure your knowledge now in artificial intelligence in this area, chosen area. After 5 days, you can rethink and evaluate yourself. All our learned faculty members, you can evaluate how much you got into this subject. So this is a serious season of a week of learningness. Good, the most perfect fitting manner. We have the chief guest, Mr. Dr. Ashutosh, here with us to deliver his chief guest address. Also followed by number of resource persons. On this day, it is my bounden duty to convey the greetings from Mahendra Educational Trust, Mahendra Educational Institutions, which has more than 26,000 plus students and 20 plus colleges, one of the largest group of southern part of India. So, on behalf of the chairman, the trust member, the managing director, secretary, I bring greetings to everyone, and I wish you all the best for this 1 week session of greater learning in a joyful manner. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is our Executive Director of Mahendra Educational Institution, Dr. R. Samson Ravindran. Thank you, sir. Now,
Welcome.
It is my immense pleasure to call our beloved principal of Mahendra Engineering College, Dr. R.V. Mahendra Gowda, for the felicitation address. Sir, please.
Yes, madam. I am audible, right? Just to check.
You're audible, sir.
Right, madam. Yeah. The distinguished chief guest for the today's AICTE Atal-sponsored FDP on AI-enabled sensor networks for 5G wireless communications, Dr. Ashutosh Kaur, Professor, Department of ECE, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Kanchipuram, our respected Executive Director, Dr. Samson Ravindran, the Head of Department of ECE of our Institute, Dr. N. Vishwanathan, the Coordinator of this program, Dr. Ponlata, then all the faculty members of the Department of ECE and learned participants who have gathered in big numbers all over the country in this online platform, and any respected officials from AICTE if they have joined in the due course. So very good morning to all of you. So at the outset, I would like to join our head of department, Dr. Vishwanathan, in extending my warm welcome to our distinguished chief guest, Dr. Ashutosh Kaur, who has kindly consented to deliver his keynote address in the inaugural session of this very valuable online program sponsored by AICTE. So as already pointed out by our head of department and the executive director, both of them are specialized experts in this field. I am of course an engineering professional and a common man. I am not from EC department. So they have dealt, initially about the importance of that. And we will be having more, learned resource persons. I think 14 to 15 learned resource persons are there who are going to give very valuable insights and highly, useful information to all the faculty members. But everyone knows that the AI has, permeated into all the spheres. It has revolutionized the whole spectrum of learning. Nothing has been left. It is having a great future, at least for next decade or so, though it was, largely known in different names as highlighted by our executive director. And this is going to really enable the 5G spectrum-based wireless networks. Many of you know the central government has already set in the process for actioning the 5G spectrum to enable transition from 4G to 5G as common people like us. So we always look for these, networks to be of very high capacity and very high speed. But there are always some hitches and there are a lot of challenges. So we expect these networks, and communication systems to be very, intelligent, smart enough to secure and safeguard big data. So huge data being transmitted and there is always a concern and aspirations about the data being secure or people might be misusing and all that. So here comes the role of AI. Even the blockchain could be integrated for end-to-end encryption to make this data more secure. And usage of specific AI algorithms would enable most of these 5G networks to be intelligent, smart enough to protect the data and provide very high speeds to the needy people. And besides being very reliable and also robust. And I think this 5 days AICT sponsored FDP will be providing valuable inputs on all these areas, and as highlighted by the COE and the head of department, the convergence of 4 broad areas. So all these things would be dealt by the learned resource persons. Finally, it will be of very high use to the faculty members who are participating in large numbers all over the country, and they in turn will transmit the information to the students, the research scholars and all that, so that some good research work could be taken up in these emerging areas, so leading to a lot of publications and all that. So I wish this 5 days AICT sponsored Atal FDP a grand success. And on behalf of our management and my own behalf, I profusely thank AICT for sponsoring this wonderful Atal FDP in very nice and emerging areas. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is our principal of Mahindra Engineering College, Dr. R.V. Mahindra Gowda. Now, let me call Dr. S. Ponlata for introducing our chief guest. Ma'am.
Good morning to all the participants and dignitaries of today's program. I am Dr. S. Ponlata, Associate Professor, EC Department, Mahindra Engineering College, to introduce our today's inaugural chief guest of our AICT-sponsored Atal FDP for 5 days program on artificial intelligence-enabled sensors and networks for 5G wireless communication. Today's chief guest, Dr. Ashutosh Garg, is working as an assistant professor grade 1 at Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Kanchipuram, Chennai, in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering since May 2018. He is presently the recipient of the prestigious IIT Madras Pravatech Faculty Fellowship. Before joining IIITDM, he worked as an assistant professor grade 1 in BITS Pilani, Rajasthan for 2 years, and assistant professor grade 2 in IIIT Bhubaneswar for 4 years. He is the recipient of the prestigious Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship at Aalborg University, Denmark from 2015 to 2017. In Aalborg University, Denmark, Dr. Carr was affiliated with the Signal and Information Processing Group at the Department of Electronic Systems. Dr. Ashutosh Carr is also a visiting research scientist at ESAT lab at the Department of Electrical Engineering at Catholic University of Leuven, Belgium, and Department of Medical Physics and Acoustics at University of Oldenburg, Germany, and the Signal Processing Group at Concordia University, Canada. Dr. Carr's research field includes the areas of digital signal processing, adaptive filters, machine learning, acoustics, and hearing aid system designs. Dr. Carr has successfully implemented rupees 1.41 crore worth sponsored research project by the European Union, Belgium, and now working on the Indian-Korea bilateral project worth 42.75 lakhs sponsored by the DST. And 3 industry-sponsored projects worth 20 lakh for Samsung Electronics. And one more, 29.8 lakh for Ventec Solution, USA, and 11 lakh for Oratus Consulting, respectively. He has more than 90 research papers in reputed journals and conferences at international level. He is an associate editor of Circuit Systems and Signal Processing, Springer, and a senior member in IEEE. He done his PhD from BIT Mesra in 2015 and MTech from NIT Hamirpur in 2011, both in the field of digital signal processing. Dr. Carr has received many awards, among which the notable ones are a faculty fellowship from IIT Madras, Pravatech, Marie Curie recognition, contract of recognition on behalf of President of India from All India Radio 4 times from 2012 to 16 for outstanding technical presentation from All India Radio, Delhi and Cuttack stations. Now I request today's inauguration chief guest, Dr. Ashutosh Garg, to handle the session. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this nice introduction of me. It's good to hear what you did, in the last 10 to 12 years. But at the very outset, respected Dr. Sampson, Executive Director, Professor Mahendra Gowda, Principal, Dr. Vishwanathan, esteemed HOD of Department of ECE, Dr. Ponlata, the convener, and my point of contact in the due course, starting from the time I got the news that this Atal FDP is going to happen. Thanks a lot for the invitation. And I thank all the dignitaries for identifying me not only as a resource person, but also as the chief guest. I really admire this, being a young researcher in the field, the invitation as a chief guest, and I thank the entire Mahindra Education Trust for this. So before I jump into my presentation, I would like to say a couple of lines, what inspired me. Because in the due course from 2020 to 2021, I have been a part of around 42 FDPs, or I have presented 42 invited talks. So what is the beauty of this, or why I like this? So first of all, we should all be very thankful to AICTE for providing us this novel Atal platform. It is bridging the gap between researchers of various domains, between institutes who are putting their thrust for education, for teaching learning process, for improving the teaching learning pedagogy at different parts of India and strengthening the country day by day. So Atal platform is indeed one of the greatest teaching learning platforms which I have seen until now, which is trying its best to bridge the gap between different research domains and also providing us a particular platform in which not only we learn new things, but also we get an opportunity to exchange ideas, to meet people, be it online, but yes, we are meeting. And I come to know about 5 people will come to know about me. So it is indeed a good thing, and we all should be very thankful to AICTE for this one of the greatest initiatives which have been taken until now. Now coming to this topic, like when Dr. Ponlata approached me, like, sir, will it be possible to present something? And I saw the title and I got overexcited because it is very much related to what I do, having my acoustic signal processing lab over here. So being a researcher in signal processing and specifically having focus on acoustics and audio signals, I thought of coming with a topic which will address this need or address these issues which we are facing in nowadays, in this sort of online conferencing. This has been a part of our daily life. I hope, like me, many of my friends, colleagues, faculty colleagues will be teaching their students or reaching out to their students from last 1.5 years or more through this online media. So when we connect with somebody online, like now I am connecting, many of you might be using your mobile phone, many of you might be using your laptop, desktop. So there is an obvious thing for which all of you are in mute mode, because once I tell all of you to switch on your mic, then whatever I say and whatever gets produced by your loudspeaker, that same can be cut by the microphone which is there in your laptop, which is there in your desktop or whatever device you are using, and can be sent through the channel to me. So be it 4G, be it 5G, be it Wi-Fi, whatever you are using to connect to internet and availing this facility of this online FDP, if your mic is on, then there is a high possibility that I hear the echo or I hear what I am already telling. So this issue is called as acoustic echo. Acoustic echo may occur due to various reasons, but today I will focus on the reason which is due to the coupling between the loudspeaker and microphone. And this is the reason because of which we always request or suggest our students to be in the mute mode when we teach in our class, because all of our students will switch on the mic. Then, it will create an howling, it will create a reverberation, and later on it may create difficulty for all of us. So based on this reason also, I would request all of you, I planned this presentation for 1 hour and 15 minutes, but now I can see that I have 1 hour, so I will try to wind it up on time. And I would request all my dear friends, colleagues, and participants to kindly note down whatever doubts, questions, or queries you have on this presentation, which I am going to share on a notebook or whatever you have. And then at the end of the presentation, please do provide your valuable feedback. If you have any queries, if you have any questions, then this is one of the best platforms where we can discuss. And I will definitely be very happy to take your valuable feedback back home once we end the presentation. So now let me present my slide, and I would also request the conveners to kindly convey me that you are able to see the slide. So are you able to see the slide?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
So let me change the slide. You just confirm me that you can see the change. I'm now going to slide 3. Are you able to see?
Hi, sir, it's changing.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Great. Okay. So today this presentation has been divided into 3 different parts. So we will be talking about optimization in acoustic signal, and that too specifically, as I said earlier, we'll be focusing on acoustic echo. So first we will try to understand what is acoustic echo and all. And I will not go through, deep mathematical aspects, big equations and all. This presentation is for all. So people from communication, from RF and microwave, from 5G, those who are working on circuits, all of them should be able to understand the equation. This is not only for specialized people working on AI, ML, IoT, data science and all. So it is for all. So accordingly, keeping it in mind, this presentation has been prepared. And it has been divided into these 3 different parts, which you can see right now. So before I just go and start the technical presentation, let's try to answer a few questions, which will definitely be in mind, because I am from acoustics, I am from signal processing. All of you may not be from the same field. So many times, first question is, what is an acoustic signal? Many times I say, people get confused between speech signal and acoustic signal. They assume that speech and acoustic both are same, which is not true actually. Every sort of speech can be considered as an acoustic signal, but all acoustic signals are not speech signals. For example, let's say with this pen, I tap my table. We can consider it as a noisy signal, as it may create issues in the due course of our communication. It can be characterized as an acoustic signal, but it is not a speech signal. We play an audio, we play audio signal. It can also be characterized as audio processing or acoustic processing. It can be part of that, but we cannot say audio which we are playing as a speech signal. So acoustic signal, we can say, has a larger radius, larger diameter in comparison to the speech signals. Now coming to why it needs processing. Why acoustic signal processing is necessary. Now I am talking to you. You switch on your mic. Whatever I tell, same thing gets back to me. So it creates disturbance in the due course of communication through this online media. And we call it as an acoustic echo. So when echo, comes to our mind, we people think, oh, echo means I go somewhere, I shout and I hear my own voice. It is like that. But here you are not shouting, but still you are hearing your voice. Why? Because when you are communicating with another person is using its device in hands-free mode. Hands-free means, you are not using this sort of earphones. I am also not using the earphones. If you are using the earphone, whatever I speak, same will be uttered in here, in the small speakers. So in that case, we can address this issue of acoustic echo. But all of you may not be using the earphone, or I cannot suggest to avoid echo, all of you should use earphones. So let's say you are simply using your mobile phone, which is in hands-free mode. So you have switched on your mic, you have kept it here, you have switched off your camera, you are doing some work, and also you are looking into my presentation. At the same time, this mic and you have switched on your mic. The mic and loudspeaker in this phone are very close to one another. I am telling what is your acoustic signal. This sentence, what is your acoustic signal, will be uttered by your speaker, and same will be cut by the microphone and will be sent through the channel to me. Rather than hearing your question, your query, I will hear my own voice. And this is the reason of acoustic coupling, and this is the reason of acoustic echo, which occurs due to the coupling at the other end. I am sitting here, I am talking to you. I am here, Dr. Ponlata is there. So she is at far end. I am at near end. So the issue which is occurring at the far end, that is the coupling between loudspeaker and microphone, is creating an issue at the near end. I am able to hear my echo because there is a coupling at the other end. Because of that, we need to come up with some algorithms. What is the job of an engineer? An engineer's job is to propose solutions. Solutions to issues. Issues which can ease our life, can provide more comfort in our life. So here, this echo is affecting our comfort. We are not able to have a very good interactive session. You know, if we try to have one during our class, I want to ask questions to my students. I want to get their response. I want to see that all of them are active. I want to see that all of them are following the questions which I am solving in the PPT, but I am not able to. Because once I tell all the 180 students whom I teach in my class to switch on their mic, then it will create erratic echo and howling and all. And I will be just hearing my volume from all different sources, where an echo canceller is not present. Because of this, how can we use iterative optimization technique? You know, all the ML techniques, ML algorithms, learn, and then they try to optimize. Today's presentation, we will see how it learns in a realistic environment without hidden layer, and how it self-optimizes itself, how the algorithm self-optimizes itself to address the issue of acoustic echo in hands-free telephone. So this is the reason, this is the issue I was telling, for which we need processing, you know, that optimization, which we call as processing. And that optimization happens due to evolution of different algorithms. So this is the system, or this is the diagram through which you can see that we are, you are at the far end, I am at the near end, and we are connecting with one another. So as you can see in the next figure, this is more technical, you know, bit more technical, because I have to go into technology slowly. When the slides, we go to the number of slides increases, and then at that time you can see we go deep into the technique. But yes, I have tried my best to avoid the total number of equations so that the presentation will be approachable to all. Okay. Now, here we need to see these two different rooms. Let me use my pointer. So here there is one room, and here there is the other room. Okay, let me use a pen so that. So here this is one room, and here this is the other room. Okay. So this is the remote side, this is the local side. Local side means the side where I am present. I am present, and this is the side where you people are present. Now this is the sort of setup which we have. You know, here a big mic and big loudspeaker has been shown just to make the thing clearer for you, but you all can understand what mic and loudspeaker I am talking about, which is there embedded in our laptop, system, or desktop. Now the room, or here I am in my faculty cabin, where I have my personal cabin. I am sitting over here. So let's say its size is 14 cross 15 feet. You may be sitting in a conference hall. You may be sitting inside your bedroom, 10 cross 12, 12 cross 12, or You may be sitting inside a conference hall which is 20 cross 12. My point is, the room impulse response or the room acoustics at my end and at your end is not same or may not be same. How to address it? At my end, I am having a different room impulse response because of the size of the room where I'm, talking to you is different, and at your end also it is different. For that reason, echo may occur at your end, and I can hear that. That means the coupling between loudspeaker and microphone may occur at your end, and coupling between loudspeaker and microphone can occur at my end as well. So therefore, in the next diagram, you can see here there is a filter, and here there is another filter which has been connected parallel to the unknown room impulse, because I don't know what is the room impulse response. And this is not only unknown, but also time varying. Why it is time varying, we will come to know in our upcoming slides. So we need to address this coupling between the loudspeaker and microphone in between these two different room impulse responses. How come we will address that? You can see a filter is written over here. Its name is adaptive filter. All might be thinking, what is it, sir? Some of you may be knowing about it. We will today discuss more on this, and also we will figure out what are the advanced techniques and algorithms. Why there is a gap in research? You all might be thinking, sir, if adaptive filters are there, if echo canceller is present, then why until now we are able to hear the echo? Why the acoustic echo issue has not been addressed completely by now? So therefore, we will discuss more today about what are the state-of-the-art algorithms and what are still the gap in research which should be addressed so that we can address the issue of acoustic echo. So that is what, because this is in wireless communication, this is a very big issue. Why it is a big issue? That is what we will discuss in our upcoming slides. Now you see, echo is of two types. One is the non-electrically generated echo, in which normally the civil engineering people, they work. Sometimes mechanical people as well. So their job is to design the wall of the rooms in such a way that the acoustic echo inside the room will be insulated. That is what we will not be discussing in today's presentation. Today's presentation we will be focusing more on electrically generated echo. This electrically generated echo is again of two different types. One is line or network echo, and the other is acoustic echo. So line or network echo occurs due to the impedance mismatch. That means, this is due to the landline telephones. This is a big issue. From 2-way to 4-way, the impedance mismatch is there. For that, line echo happens. This is also not a topic of discussion in our today's presentation. Today we will be focusing more on this part. This is the part which we will be focusing more. That is acoustic echo, which occurs due to the coupling between the loudspeaker and the microphone, which you can see at this right side. In hands-free telephony and in audio conference. Specifically, this topic has been chosen because this is a point of discussion at this scenario when we all are, most of the time communicating with one another using this hands-free telephony and audio conferencing system. And also today or tomorrow, like day or someday or later, we are facing the issue of acoustic echo due to the coupling between loudspeaker and mic. Now, here it is the two different classifications. One is the line echo and one is the acoustic echo. So line echo is something which occurs in the landline telephony systems, and we will not be discussing that today. We will be focusing on something which you can see highlighted in the blue at the right hand side. That is the coupling between the loudspeaker and microphone in a LEM, loudspeaker enclosure module. Both loudspeaker and microphone, they are in one room impulse response, and there exists a coupling because you have switched on your mic inadvertently, because mic, is a transducer. Like human being, we can distinguish this is this signal, that is that signal. Mic is simply a transducer. Its job is to convert energy from one form to the other form. So it doesn't distinguish that if I get this signal and send through the other channel, whether it is a signal from the person or it is a signal from the loudspeaker. I can't distinguish that. That's why it's a brainless device. Simply transducer, very cheap device as well in the entire process of communication. So what we can do? Now this is a bit more technical diagram in this regard. You see, let's say I am there at the near end. I have a mic here, I have a loudspeaker here. My room impulse response, you see the size of this room and the size of the room at the far end, both are different. Far end means you are far end. In near end means I am near end because I am the observer right now. I am going to develop a technique, but the echo can occur at the near end. The echo can occur at the far end. Anytime you are not able to see the PPT or there is any internet issue, you can tell me so that I will look into this. Otherwise, I will be continuing my presentation. Okay. Now, both the near end and far end, AF you can see, these are called as adaptive filters. I told that these room impulse responses at near and far end are time varying. Why they are time varying, that we will discuss now. Okay. Along with that, you can see we are using adaptive filters both at the near end as well as at the far end. And you can see a line is going across the filter. What is that? That tells about the whole nature of adaptive filter. That is, the filter can change its impulse response in the due course of operation. Change its impulse response means the filter can vary the filter weights, can vary the value of its coefficients in the due course of action. But you all might be thinking, so what is the necessity for the filter to vary its coefficients in the due course of action? Why the filter has to do that? Because the room impulse response is time varying. Example is, now I am talking to some of you. You are using your mobile phone. Due to some reason, you moved from one room to the other room, or in the same room, you opened all the windows. What will happen? The room impulse response will change. The room impulse response will vary. If the room impulse response varies, then what will happen? Its room is already unknown to us because I do not know what is the impulse response of the particular room, and it is also varying now. So, if you go for a fixed time domain filter, for example, Chebyshev filter, Butterworth filter, usual low pass, high pass, band stop filters, they will not be able to characterize this time varying characteristics of this room where this coupling between loudspeaker and microphone has occurred, because they are fixed time domain filters. Once designed for a particular impulse response, they cannot be redesigned or remodeled automatically in the due course of action. For that, we need adaptive digital filters. Adaptive filters are feed-forward structures, and they are inherently stable. They are inherently stable filters because they are based on FIR structure, traverse or freestyle structure. But how they function? What is the principle? We'll go a bit deep into adaptive filter, and again we will come back to our echo cancellation topic. The job of an adaptive filter. You see, this adaptive filter also, this least mean square algorithm of optimization, also we study in those who have taken the ML course, you all might have studied, this least mean square algorithm. What it says? It is based on a criterion for optimization. What do we optimize here? I will go to the diagram once again. Here, the input which goes to the unknown plant, that means unknown plant means the room impulse response, because the response is unknown to us. Because of that, a coupling gets created between the loudspeaker and mic, and it provides me an output. Let's say we define that output over here as Dn. Filter output is right now Yn. In a parallel system, like here you can see the filter is connected parallel to the room impulse response. If the filter output and the room response output both are different, then what we will say that echo has not been cancelled until now, because in this case, when the filter, adaptive filter is used in parallel to the room impulse response, it is used in system identification mode. In system identification principle, we will say the echo has been cancelled completely in one room impulse response or the other when the adaptive filter impulse response becomes equal to the impulse response of the unknown plant or the unknown room or of the room with which it has been connected in parallel. So for that reason, when they are not equal, what we get? We get an error signal which is EN. EN is the difference between the desired signal and the filter output. This EN has to be optimized. How do you optimize that? We optimize it with the help of adaptive weight control mechanism. What it does? The adaptive weight control mechanism proposes, a weight update algorithm or technique with which we change or try to change or vary the coefficients of the linear traversal filter. The traversal filter has a feed-forward structure, a FIR structure. I don't want to talk more about a FIR because this is bare basic, all of you might be knowing. And here, all these coefficients, they are prefixed to a particular value. Which value is not giving me system identification. Because of that set of values, the filter output is not equal to the desired signal. They have to be equal, but they are not equal. What we have to do? We have to come up with adaptive weight control technique, adaptive weight control mechanism. What that does, that tries to change or update the coefficients of the traversal filter in the due course. And when after updation, one step, other step, other step, other step, this runs iteratively. So the filter in the due course of operation learns itself. Learn to what? It learns itself to the impulse response of the unknown plant, of the unknown room impulse response, with which it has been connected in parallel. Again, I am explaining this. This is a very important concept and entire presentation is based on this. Here the filter response and the room response both are unequal. As they are unequal, as you can see over here, we are getting an error. We need to optimize the error. The error cannot be optimized in one step. The error has to be optimized iteratively. Iterative optimization happens by varying the weights or the coefficients of the traversal linear filter. The traversal linear filter has got a set of filter weights or coefficients which define the filter. So those weights are prefixed to a particular value. As for the steps of optimization, when we optimize the error, we try to reduce the error. We reduce it by bringing Yn and Dn, the output and the desired signal, close to one another. When they are equal to one another, we say the error becomes zero. And it happens by varying the coefficients of the traversal filter in a step-by-step manner, in an iterative manner. Understood? And that, how it varies. Now you might be thinking, so how it will vary? Because of that, we take the help of adaptive filtering algorithm, which is also called as adaptive weight control mechanism. We'll study about that. So this is the filter, and already we discussed about it. I'll not put a lot of time. Now, when we talk about adaptive algorithms, many people call it as applied machine learning based algorithm because it works on the principle of optimization and it learns to the room impulse response in an iterative way, but always the objective is to have faster convergence. Now I told about convergence. You might be thinking, sir, what is convergence? So not only convergence, there are several other factors which we need to take care of when we develop such adaptive filtering algorithms for the application of hands-free acoustic echo cancellation in our wireless communication or devices or systems. One is rate of convergence. Rate of convergence means how fast we achieve the optimality. Objective is to reduce the error. Objective is to reduce the echo. That happens by identifying the impulse response of the unknown plant where this echo is happening, which is also time varying in nature. So therefore, the most important criterion over here is to how fast we achieve that optimality. What is the rate with which we achieve the optimality? That rate is called as rate of convergence. And always this should be, yes, you are guessing it correctly, it should always be higher, because we always aspire to develop the algorithms with faster rate of convergence, because they are able to produce the results in a faster or quicker way. Robustness. Robustness is, you see, there is a small variation at the input. So proportionately, there should be a small variation at the output. So small variation at the input. Let's say, for example, while normalizing this echo, we got the system interfere with extrinsic or external noise. So when external noise signal is there, intruding the system, and the system output varies largely, what will happen? Will we say the system to be robust? Definitely not. If small variation at the input results in large variation at the output, then the system is not at all robust. Small variation at the input results in small variation at the output, we say the system is robust. Computational complexity. This is something which all of you know. We always try to develop algorithms, develop techniques where the number of additions, number of multiplications should be as less as possible. So computational complexity, computational intricacy should be as minimum as possible. Structure. Structure means total number of filter weights. We always try to see the number of filter weights which are used in the system are in an optimized limit. And tracking says when we move from one impulse response to the other impulse response, let's say I'm having facing the issue of acoustic echo, and suddenly from one impulse response to the other impulse response, I move from one room to the other room. Then what will happen? It will create more coupling because suddenly the room impulse response changes. So we need to develop our algorithm in such a way that with the variation of room impulse response of sudden increase of the error, mean square error is what we consider over here. It should be able to adapt itself. It should be able to again bring down the error from that high set value when suddenly we move from one room impulse response to the other room impulse response. Now coming to the adaptive filtering algorithms. This is a very bare basic algorithm which I have presented over here just to depict that how the filter functions, how the adaptive filter works. So you can see over here, WK plus 1. W represents weights. W represents filter coefficients. So WK plus 1 is K plus 1th filter coefficient. It depends on Kth filter coefficient, that is WK, plus mu. Mu is the step adaptation step size. I will talk more about it in the upcoming slides. It also depends on the input signals, like you can see XK transpose, input signal, transpose of input signal, and error signal. So all these factors decides what should be my next filter weight? What are the factors that decide the next filter weight? Point number 1, the present filter weight. Point number 2, the weight adaptation step size. Point number 3, the input to the system. Point number 4, the error signal. These are the factors which decide what should be the next filter weight, what should be the next filter coefficient, so that we move more towards optimality or achieving the optimality. Step by step, iterative learning, iterative process of optimization. Now, you all might be thinking, sir, is it like echo cancellation is something which you have brought in first? No, absolutely not. It is a topic on which from more than last 2 to 3 decades people are working on. And let me list out a few techniques which has already been proposed earlier. So initially people thought of addressing the slow convergence of the existing, always the objective is to have faster convergence and better tracking capacity. And to have a better trade-off between the convergence speed and the performance, which is called as the steady state. That means we should achieve it faster, but we should achieve it faster not at the cost of, a poor performance. Performance is also, performance means echo cancellation performance. That cannot be, that should not be hampered. Echo cancellation performance should be intact. At the same time, we should also be able to achieve a faster convergence, like a better way of achieving the optimality. Earlier, researchers tried to come up with their own techniques. Some of the researchers, they suggested IIR filtering, which failed because IIR filters, as all of you know, they do not have inherent stability. IIR filters are not inherently stable. Then adaptation of the filter in transform. Some people, some researchers, they suggested that we should go to frequency domain. We need to do the analysis in frequency domain, and then we need to get back from frequency domain to time. What happened in this process? When we go from time domain to frequency domain, when we go do this, go to transform domain, we bring more complexity to the system. And again, at the output side, I have to use the inverse Fourier transform technique to again get back my signal in time domain. So therefore, in today's presentation, we will be discussing a few techniques like decomposition of filters, optimum weight selection for optimizing the structure of the filter. So you can compare it with selecting the number of nodes in a neural network to come up with a technique where I can select the number of coefficients in an adaptive filter in an iterative manner, in an optimum way. And then also we will discuss about the selective coefficient update technique, what is its concept and what can be its future applicability. Let's start one by one. But before I start this, I would like to say a very nice line, which I always like, that truth can be stated in 1,000 different ways, yet each one can be true, which was said by Swami Vivekananda. What does it say? So before I go and present about some of these, research papers which has been published by our team, I have just mentioned a few, very few. I would also like to identify the earlier researchers, because they stated their truth in different way and we are stating in a different way, all for serving the science, like to bring out the best technique. So all this research work we have been working on from 2015, some of the significant papers have been mentioned over here, published by me, my research scholars and in group. So before I go ahead and present this work, it is my duty to identify all our international collaborators, Professor Haddad, Professor M.N.A. Swami from Concordia University, Canada, Professor Maldenovic from University of Technology, Serbia, Kragujevac, and Professor Jan Ostergaard and Professor Soren Holte Jensen from Aalborg University, Denmark. So without their help, without visiting some of the labs frequently, this research work and this output might not have been possible. So it is indeed important to identify their help and suggestion and constant persuasion which made this research possible. Now, acoustic echo cancellation is of two types. One is the monophonic acoustic echo, another is the stereophonic acoustic echo. Now, monophonic acoustic echo, here as we are going to discuss about, sub-filter based techniques. We have segregated two different parts. One is SLF. I'm just telling the short forms in this slide so that in upcoming slides, I can use the short forms as per the convenience. SLF is S stands for single, L stands for long, F stands for filter. So SLF is single long filter. It is a single filter. Long means it has so many coefficients. And when the number of coefficients are more, because in echo cancellation, let me tell you, we use filters with hundreds to thousands of filter coefficients. Hundreds to thousands of filter coefficients. When the filter coefficients are more, then convergence performance is slow. So, when number of coefficients are more and filter convergence goes down. So, our objective is to come up with an algorithm or to have a trade-off between this convergence and steady state. That is what we will discuss. Anyways, now MSF is our proposed technique. What does it say? M stands for multiple, S stands for sub, F stands for filter. This was the first technique which was initially proposed by Professor Ravindranath with his group at IIT Kanpur, who is supposed to be my master supervisor at NIT Hamirpur as well. And I have simply taken his work forward in a newer and different direction. So, also a very big thanks to Professor Ravindranath, because of which my research was possible, because of his constant motivation in this regard during my master's in 2010, after which I took an initiative to do some difference in this area and started my research in acoustics and audio signal processing. So this is the very pivotal algorithm in this multiple subfilter based design. Its name is different error algorithm. Why I say it's different error algorithm? If you might have seen my earlier block diagram of adaptive filter, where we try to compare the filter output Yn, the desired signal Dn, we get error signal En. We get single error signal. With that error signal, we try to modify the weights of adaptive filter. But when we have a filter whose length is so long, then the convergence of the filter is slow. So here the concept is, rather than using a filter of thousands of coefficients, hundreds of coefficients, let's say filter of 1000 is there. We will divide that single long filter by setting m equals to 5, m means to total number of subfilters, into 5 different subfilters. So a filter whose length was 1000, but subfilters now contain length of 200. Like length means total number of taps. Taps means coefficients, weights. So initially the filter had 1000 coefficients. Now each subfilter is having 200, 200, 200, total 5 different subfilters are there. For addressing the weight updation for each subfilter, we have different error signals. Here they have been represented as E0, E1, E2 and all. So let's say we have 5 different subfilters. So I will have error from E0 to E4, like that. What the errors will do? The errors will try to modify, try to update the weights of the adaptive filters which are used for these different errors. Its name is different error because we are having different error signal and optimizing the weights of adaptive filter to address the acoustic echo in the echo channel. What are the advantages of it? We will show in the upcoming slide. Later on, this was the very actually fast research we published in this in 2015, back in 2015. Earlier that some of the research was also published, but this is a pivotal work. So I thought of discussing it for the very first time. Now, what we did later on, we combined all error signals together and took a single error and took its difference from the desired signal and then with a single error, common error, all the filter weights were updated. Here, rather than using different error signals, single error signal has been used. So this is common error technique. All these are inferences taken from earlier work. What is the proposed work? I will come to that. After that, what was done? It was found. It was figured out. I'll show a result for that. This is the room impulse response and all. The different error signal, if you can see the mean square error versus number of iteration plot, the different error has a faster convergence. That means it achieves the optimality at a faster rate. But its steady state performance, that means echo cancellation performance, is not as good as the common error technique or the single long filter, which has a slow convergence, but steady state error is acceptable. Therefore, we figured out that the different error algorithm has a faster convergence. The common error algorithm has a better steady state. If we can come up with a combination of the different and common error, then it will provide us the best trade-off between the convergence and the steady state. And this motivated us to come up with the combined technique or the combined algorithm. Here you can see we have used a trade-off parameter alpha, with which the different error weight update equation, that is the first one. You can see the arrow mark over here, which has been highlighted in the weight update equation. The first part represents the different error weight update equation. The second part represents the common error weight update equation. Both of them have been combined. Let me take some water. The parameter alpha we have capitalized in our research work. It's a mathematical way we have defined it. So I'm not making it a part of this presentation, which is more generic. Now here you can see the comparison between the different error, common error and combined error technique, where it can be clearly seen that the combined error algorithm outperform both the different error as well as the common error framework. All right. And also definitely the single long filter, which has a very, very slow convergence rate. Now we will go for MSA based designs for stereophonic echo cancellation. Now you see, nowadays whatever systems we are using for communication, all of these are stereophonic systems. Stereophonic means rather than one channel, we have more than one channel. Two channels are shown over here. So when number of channels increases, sound quality increases, because one place we can have the original signal, one place we can have the background signal. But at the same time, there may be issues of channel correlation. There may be issues of computational inaccuracy. Due to more than one channels, we have to use more than one filter. So the computational inaccuracy which was there for monophonic echo cancellation, when we jump into stereophonic echo cancellation, it will be monophonic multiplied by 2, twice of the monophonic echo cancellation. So therefore, in stereophonic echo cancellation, issue was much more complex in comparison to the monophonic echo cancellation. What we did, this is the full update algorithm. I'll go a bit fast. I have some 20 minutes time with me. Then this is different error technique, where we have the subfilters both for channel 1 as well as for channel 2. Then we go for common error algorithms, where it's exactly same as that of the monophonic system. We have two different channels, but rather than having different error signals, we have a single error signal which updates the filter coefficients of the adaptive filter which is used in the system. And then we have combined error algorithm, where we combine both the different error and the common error algorithm together mathematically, making it viable without making the system unstable in the due course of operation. So it is the adaptation scheme for common error algorithm for MSA based stereophonic acoustic echo cancellation setup. Now the results are very important to see in this case. So it can be seen the different error technique, different error algorithm, which was having faster convergence but poor steady state. Poor steady state. Here it is providing us even much poor performance in comparison to the monophonic setup where it was employed initially. We can see for the different error technique, different error algorithm, the mean square error comes down and again it goes up and then it remains constant. So it should come down and then it should remain constant because it is mean square error. And as you can see, when number of iterations increases, because as I told initially, it is cyclic process of iteration, cyclic process, step by step, this thing goes. But here it comes down and then suddenly it goes up and then it remains constant. So therefore the convergence performance, when we compare the different error, the common error and the single long filter, it can be clearly seen that the common error is having a better performance for stereophonic system in comparison to the single long filter and the different error algorithm. Now coming to the next slide, here we see proposed means our combined error technique. It can be seen that the combined error technique outperforms the different error and common error algorithm along with the single long filter. Now, be it the different error or be it the common error technique, the objective is to go for subfilters. That means dividing the entire filter length into number of subfilters and then addressing, the issue of faster convergence, having a better trade-off between convergence and steady state with that. But the question is it reducing the total coefficient requirement? Coefficient means total length requirement for addressing this echo cancellation issue, which is actually the major reason behind slower convergence, because we are using a filter of thousands of coefficients. So it should be brought down as much as possible so that we are having a better speed of convergence, also achieving that with lower computational complexity, which results in the approach of selective coefficient update. I have just removed the math behind it because it is so long. Just the approach is how to select the total coefficient or the coefficient matrix rather than going for all the entire 100% coefficients. Here you can see we have gone for 40% coefficients and we are able to achieve a very close performance in comparison to the SLF single long filter full update algorithm. Similarly, you see when we again reduce it further from 40 to 25, though we are having a steady state, equivalent steady state, for convergence performance goes down. So the percentage of selection, though it provides a ray of hope for achieving the faster convergence, but at the same time, what should be the percentage of selection is a gamble. We do not know, or we may not be able to always find it mathematically. What should be the percentage of selection in selective coefficient update based algorithm? So this is also one more example where you can see when we reduce the percentage of selection, then you can see the curves, the comparison of the curves, the convergence performance varies. Now tracking performance comparison. So you see, when we move from, as I said, from one room impulse response to other, here you can see that after 3 into 10 to the power 4, after around 30,000 iterations, there is an enclosure dislocation. That means we move from one impulse response to suddenly the other impulse response to other enclosure. Then immediately the mean square error goes up. Mean square error means this error, which at the y-axis you can see, the MSE goes up, it increases. Then again with the total number of iterations increases, the mean square error comes down, and after some point in time it remains constant. It happens because the algorithms, they have the tracking capability. And this happens for single on filter and MSF based combiner algorithm, MSF based multiple subfilter based combiner algorithm and combiner technique. And it also happens for single on filter, MSF combiner techniques, SLF and MSF based combiner techniques. All right. Now, there was another big challenge in our research because, and these lines of Swami Vivekananda motivated for that because it was a big risk to go ahead with a variable tap length based technique because there was no such, concrete approach for that. And we can say our work was the pivotal work in bringing in the multiple subfilters and the variable tap length adaptive filters together for having better optimization, faster convergence, and lower computational complexity. How it happened? Now, what do you mean by a tap length? Tap length means the length of the filter. As you can see in this block diagram, where we have shown a simple traversal filter structure, filter weights or coefficients are there, and they have been highlighted in yellow. In blue, you can see the total number of filter coefficients tells us about the length of the filter. So total number of coefficients are 100. We say length of the filter is 100. Total number of coefficients are 1000. In case of our, as I said, echo cancellation aspects, we use the filter length or we need the filters. 100 to thousands of filter order is very high in that case. And they are linear FIR traversal filter structures. So what we need to do? This has to be optimized. How it has to be optimized? For that, we need to first understand the issue of the need of optimizing the filter length. So you see, if we do not optimize the length, we will result in slow, short and long filter. I'll go a bit fast, looking at the time with me, available with me. So we will have short and long adaptive filter. So short adaptive filter means, let's say for a particular scenario, we need a filter length of at least 1000 filter taps or length we want. But unfortunately, I have a filter length of 500 to 600. I need 1000. I have 500. So I have more filter order or less filter order? Less filter order. What it will result? It will result in short length adaptive filter. Short length adaptive filter may provide me faster convergence, but steady state performance will be very low. And it is called as the issue of under modeling. To avoid it, people used to suggest long length adaptive filters. That means rather than going for filters with the lesser number of filter taps, people used to go for filters with more number of filter taps. I need 1000, but I have set my filter length to 1500. What will happen? When I have more than the required number of filter taps or filter length, it will result in long length adaptive filter. Long length adaptive filter is the reason behind adaptation noise and more computations. So neither we want short length adaptive filter nor we want long length adaptive. Person would try to address this issue first with the help of blocks. That means initially a block was set, its error was found, another block with a set of coefficients was set, its MSE was found, both these MSEs were compared. When they fall below a threshold value, there the adaptation was stopped and it was said that the optimality has been achieved. This person's name or the scientist's name was Rairapol, and this was the idea which motivated us to come up with pseudo-fractional tap length update technique. techniques. I'll not go deep into the mathematics, just I'll come to the final equation. Here the concept is, filter length should always be a whole number. I can say the length of my filter is 100, the length of my filter is 1000. I cannot say length of my filter is 100.5. So therefore, we need to, when we go for this technique, algorithm, we need to go with an assumption that the filter length may be fractional. Because the algorithm, when it runs mathematically, then there may be some fractional values added to the whole number to make it a fractional weight. If it happens, then what we can do, we can simply convert the filter length to the nearest whole number, and we can say that the optimality has been achieved. So therefore its name is pseudo fractional, because we get fractional value and then we convert to the whole. Because of this, a researcher can set the filter weight at any length, or set the filter length at any value. Let's say for a particular scenario, I need the filter with 600 to 700 taps or coefficients. I set my filter length to 300 to 400. I need 600. With the help of this algorithm, the taps or the filter weights can update themselves and they can go up to 600. At the same time, if I need 200 taps, then by updating their coefficients, they can come down from 600 to 200. So this is the beauty of the algorithm, that the filter weights can be changed or varied bidirectionally. Now, this concept of variable tap length was employed for monophonic, subfilter based, different error algorithm, common error algorithm, and combined error algorithm. Later on, it was also used for stereophonic, different error algorithm, common error algorithm, and combined error technique. Whatever adaptive filters were employed over there, for all the adaptive filters, a variable tap technique was proposed to vary their filter weights and to get optimum set of filter weight. So already with the help of this structure, we were able to achieve faster convergence. Now we were able to achieve faster convergence with a better, steady state, and also with lesser computational complexity, because the total filter weight requirement has been sorted, and the randomness in fixing the filter taps, which were there initially for this echo cancellation issue, that was also addressed with the evolution of pseudo-fractional tap length update techniques. Now these are the results where you can see different error technique and common error, which were used earlier. When they were employed with variable structure technique, they resulted in under modeling. But on the other hand, the common error and the combined error technique were able to provide a better performance when the tap length and the number of iterations were plotted against one another. We can see that the combined error technique and as a better performance, in comparison to both the common error as well as the different error technique. Similarly, not only that, when we had SNR 0 dB, that means signal power is same as that of the noise power. In that case also, our different error technique and common error technique, they were outperformed by the proposed MSA based combined error technique, where we used the variable structure or variable tap length algorithm. And this is for SNR 30 dB, which was a low noise condition. So as our algorithm was working for the high noise condition, low noise condition was also not at all an issue. And these were some of the signals where I just wanted to depict that how the error was there, and after the application of the algorithm, how we were able to take out the error and have only this signal. And it is not that the error is 0 right now. We have taken out the entire error. Some part or components will always be present, and the job will always be how to cancel them out with more advanced or innovative approaches. And again, later on, any adaptive filtering algorithm, we need to check the tracking performance. So for its better suitability for real-time applications. And here you can see this tracking results, and it can be seen that all the algorithms have tracking capability, but the proposed technique which we come up with, they have the better tracking in comparison to the other algorithms. Now, in our team, we are trying to go for a better selective coefficient update-based approach, where the job is to mathematically find a viable formula for what should be the level of selection based on the input and the room impulse response we have. The work is going on. So our objective is to come up with a selective coefficient update approach, which has variable step length and also multiple subfilter, so that we come up with a very fast acoustic echo canceller. Not only that, without losing the steady state and convergence and that trade-off. So this is the objective, and keeping that in mind, we are doing our research. These are some of the references which were followed for preparing the slides. Again, I would like to let you know that these are the basic fundamental and the very initial research which I carried out in echo cancellation. Presently, we have moved to joint echo noise cancellation. We have moved to non-linear echo cancellations and several other topics as well on which we are focusing on. So, but yes, this is a very interesting area and it has a larger application in the present scenario. And still there are a lot of other challenges because of which the echo issue was not addressed, because when we do the research in an anechoic chamber, let's say most of the research were carried out in an anechoic chamber. But in practical or realistic environment, we have acoustic artifacts. Now I am talking to you, somebody will be talking in a nearby place, outside my cabin. There will be an interfering voice. Now I have switched on my AC, but switched off the fan. If I switch on the fan, again, it will intrude its own noise. So always the situation is not so realistic, practical, theoretical that we think. Situations are much more realistic, practical, and then there are much more acoustic parameters and scenarios that should be taken care of for addressing the issue of acoustic echo, because of which still this issue is an unaddressed issue. With this, I rest my presentation and I encourage, I will be on my slide. If there will be any doubt, I would like to answer that. And I rest my presentation. Any queries or any doubts, I will request the convener to please ask the participants to ask the queries.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if anyone is having any queries, you can ask sir. Sir is live here.
Sir, in generation to generation, how many channels are available? How do we decide the channel? This many channels are available.
The channels we don't decide. Channels the system decides. So let's say I am dealing with a monophonic system. So in monophonic system, there will be a single channel. Okay. But when stereophonic system, there will be multiple channels. So you have two channels because you have a original signal, and again with that you have a background. Now you have you want multiple backgrounds, or you want multiple speakers. Multiple speakers can always create confusion. So we need to find a trade-off. But we don't decide that. We decide if there are channels and there is echo in each and every channel. How can we address that with the help of filters? How many number of channels should be there? The people, those who define or innovate the audio systems for a particular purpose, they define it. And when we define the number of channels, we should always see that the correlation between the channels, it should be below a particular limit. If you have so many channels for have a better clarity, then later on, due to the correlation between the channels, it may hamper the clarity. So that is a job of another people altogether. Our job is to cancel the echo if they are present in one or more channels. Any other query?
I request the participant to unmute yourself and clarify your doubts with sir. If you have any queries, you can ask the queries to sir. Participants, you can unmute yourself and ask the queries. Sir, one query is from Mr. Ashraf Ali. It's in chat box. Shall we use optimization algorithm to reduce echo?
Yeah, this is the algorithm which I talked actually. This is optimization algorithm itself, which we are trying to reduce the echo. And this optimization algorithm is an iterative algorithm. So it is iterative process of optimization only. Whatever we were discussing, all are optimization algorithm. What we optimize that I mentioned earlier, that is the our gap between the error signal and the desired signal. So this desired like our filter output and the desired signal, we get an error signal, and we try to optimize the mean square error, expected value of square of the error. This is a completely stochastic system, time varying system, and that is what we are talking about. So therefore we go for expected values and we figure out the mean square error, and we try to iteratively, in a step-by-step manner, we try to optimize the error. So the entire principle of adaptive filter is actually the principle of optimization only, where the filter weights or taps try to learn themselves in the due course of iteration to the unknown plant's impulse response, so that the filter impulse response will be the unknown plant impulse response. When we achieve that, we say we have achieved the optimality. But it keeps on changing, it keeps on varying, because when we are with our wireless devices, we are not static in one position. We are dynamic. We move here and there. When we have a laptop, we have a mobile, we can go from one place to other place. So our optimization, that mean square error, is not static. That is dynamic error, because of the nature of the plant or the room or the acoustic factors with which we are dealing. So therefore, we are going for adaptive filters. So purely based on the concept of optimization and the weight update technique, this methodologies which we are following. Yes. Any other question?
Steady state error is important, or like an error decrease is an important, means like an if you say
yeah, that is convergence you are talking about. Both are important. Therefore, in the due course of presentation, I always focused on having a trade-off. Trade-off means I will have faster convergence, but I will not sacrifice on the steady state error. I want a curve in such a way that my convergence is faster, but not at the cost of steady state. And in that case, step size of the filter plays a major role. How do we vary the filter steps? Today, it was not a part of my presentation. Maybe some other time I will talk more on the variable step algorithms which we developed and which were also there earlier, and we also put our hand into that. So that can be a part of the presentation. Today, it was not the part of the presentation. But yes, trade-off is important. We cannot sacrifice anything.
If you increase the number of filters, the hardware cost will increases or not? Like
we are not increasing the number of filter. Filter is same. So the total number of coefficients are same. So hardware will not increase. We are just changing the way the algorithm update. You see, in different error algorithm, we have 1000 tap lengths. When we are using different error, we have sub filters. So from the father filter, we have different son or daughters. But we are not creating the filter. We are just changing the algorithm, the way we update the filter with different error signals. So the cost remains same because the structure is not changing. The total number of coefficients are same 1000. And as far as the cost, the question is concerned, for that we have already proposed variable structure algorithm, variable tap length algorithm, which we named as pseudo fractional tap length algorithm. That not only addresses the convergence, but also reduces the computational cost by reducing the total number of filter coefficients. Some question is on MIMO. I am not an expert on MIMO, so I will not be the best person to answer the question. If any question relating to this presentation, then you can definitely ask. But regarding MIMO, I think I am not an expert, so I will not comment more on that. Yes, I don't think there are further questions. So,
yes, sir. Regarding MIMO, ma'am, Kanmani ma'am, we have a session on MIMO tomorrow.
There is one more question. There are different optimization techniques, and how do we find out the best? The best way is to, find out the state-of-the-art techniques, optimization techniques which you are talking about. Compare them for convergence, for steady state, for tracking, and then see where the results are better in comparison to other techniques. And that is for various different inputs, not for any particular input, and then to figure out which is having a better performance in comparison to the others. So unless until we implement that, we just by seeing the techniques, we cannot say which is better. We need to apply them for our particular application, compare the performance, and then figure out which is the best algorithm on various parameters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
You can go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. The session was extremely informative and very enlightening. It helps in developing
Thanks for this compliment.
It helps in developing new insights in the domain of acoustic echo cancellation. You have beautifully explained all the concepts with examples, sir. Surely our participants have learned valuable things after the session. They can able to explore the concepts in a better way. Thanks a lot, sir. Even in your busy schedule, you have accepted our invitation and you have honored her with this wonderful session.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation, madam. Whatever schedule is busy for the presentation, for this sort of platform, I'm always ready, because if people ask a few questions and interaction, I really like it, and I can see that more than 80 participants are present. So it is indeed, this FDP is a success actually at its beginning itself, because it has such a large number of participants, and it is really good to interact with all of you and to present my research. It also helps me in my outreach. And I also thank the entire Mahindra Education Trust, the Atal FDP, and specifically you for this kind invitation for this. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, there is a link for attendance. Feedback form is there for attendance. Kindly fill up the form, and we'll end up the session 1. We'll start the session 2 exactly by 12 noon. I request all the participants to rejoin by 11:50 itself. For guest resource person for the second section have also joined. We'll start the session exactly by 12 noon. Sir, good morning, sir. Venkateshwaran, sir.